Hi everybody. Right, so for our weekly homework lesson today, we are going to focus just on the English that we've been doing because it's been so heavy, it's been so loaded. There's been lots that we've learned, and it's important that we really try our best to remember it. Okay, so I'm going to turn my camera off, the video off for this lesson because I'll get in the way of the screen. But let me first share my screen. Okay. Here we go. Right, so on the screen, you can see the four different sentences. Well, there are three different types of sentences, but there are kind of like four, aren't there? We discussed that a complex sentence can be written in two ways, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So we've got simple sentences, we've got compound sentences, we've got complex sentences, and then we've got complex sentences again, but this time beginning with a conjunction. And one way that we can really boost our creativity, one way that we can produce the most amazing written work is by using a variety of these sentences. Now, there isn't one sentence which is more important than the other. They are all important. We need to be able to use all of them. Sometimes it can come across that simple sentences are, not as important or quite boring. It's just not true. Simple sentences are essential for good story writing. So it's all about using a great mixture of these four different types of sentences on the screen here. So what we need to do today, or actually I'll show you first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with just one idea. So I went to the cinema. Now we know that's a simple sentence because it's just one idea. It's one clause, there's no conjunction. So it's a simple sentence. Okay, so I went to the cinema. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand that sentence. I'm going to change it into a compound sentence. Now, the way that I change it into a compound sentence is I use one of these conjunctions. And remember, we can remember these conjunctions using the acronym FANBOYS. You'll also notice that there is a comma here to remind you that before we use one of these conjunctions, these are called coordinating conjunctions. Before we use one of those conjunctions, we must put a comma. So let me extend that original sentence. I went to the cinema, comma. Then I'm going to think of another idea. Okay, I've got one, but it wasn't showing my favorite film. So you can see what I've done there. I've extended that original sentence. I've extended my simple sentence by adding a coordinating conjunction. And now it's a compound sentence. I used the word but, and I put a comma before it. And that's all I needed to do. And now I've got a compound sentence. Okay, let's now write a complex sentence. So my original idea, my simple sentence was, I went to the cinema. Now to extend this sentence into a complex sentence, I use one of these conjunctions. I saw a wubba. These are called subordinating conjunctions, but we do not put a comma before these conjunctions. So I went to the cinema after I went to the restaurant. I went to the cinema after I went to the restaurant. So I've got my simple sentence and I've extended it using this conjunction after, and then this second clause, the second idea, I went to the restaurant. So what we've done so far is we've taken a simple sentence, we've written a simple sentence, and we've extended it in two ways. First, we extended it by creating a compound sentence. Then we extended it by creating a complex sentence. Now, to write a complex sentence beginning with a conjunction, all I need to do is get my first complex sentence and begin with the conjunction. So I'm just going to rewrite this sentence, but this time begin with the conjunction. So after I went to the restaurant, I went to the cinema. So what I've done is I've swapped the clauses around. I've started with the second clause. I began the sentence with my conjunction, but this is where it gets a little bit annoying. Because I've done that, I now need to put a comma after my first idea. Okay, so these are rules that we need to remember. They're a bit tricky because there's lots of different rules, but the more we practice, the more we're going to remember them. So your first task is, can you come up with a simple sentence, any simple sentence you like, and write it? Then can you take that simple sentence and change it or extend it into a compound sentence? Then when you've done that, can you change your simple sentence into a complex sentence? And then when you've done that, can you get your complex sentence and switch the clauses around so that your sentence begins with a conjunction? But remember where and when you put the comma. If you need help remembering as you're writing your sentences, just rewind the video and do this enough times until it becomes solid in your head, because it is tricky. But I promise you, one way we can really write well and create creatively, one way we can write a piece of text that just jumps out so anyone looking at it is by using a variety of sentences. Okay, so make sure you do that before we move on, and we're moving on now. So the next task is this. I'm just going to read this text and then I'm going to explain what it is we need to do. The clouds above wrapped themselves around the derelict house. The trees danced from side to side, yet I felt no wind on my face. Although I had been warned to stay away from this monstrosity, I crept closer and closer with increasing apprehension. Okay, right. So you probably noticed there's a bit of personification in that text, which we've looked at recently. Hopefully you spotted it, but we're not going to focus that on today. Instead, this is what we need to do. So task 1 is look at the red words within that text. So we've got derelict, monstrosity, increasing, and apprehension. And can you define them? And if you don't know what they mean, look them up in a dictionary. Once you've done that, the next task, task 2, is look at each sentence and decide whether each sentence is a simple, a compound, or a complex sentence. But be sure, be absolutely sure. Don't take any guesses. If you need help remembering, just rewind the video. And task 3 is continue writing this text. So carry on from where I've left off, keep writing, but be sure that you've written at least one simple sentence, one compound sentence, and one complex sentence. Okay, I hope that all made perfect sense. Thank you very much for watching. See you soon. Bye.